My name is Katiuska, Herrador, the proud principal of Jones Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language. Thank you for joining us today as we dedicate this building and celebrate our wonderful namesakes, Jimmy and Laura Jones. Jimmy and Laura are so deserving of this honor, as they have a long legacy of servant leadership and inspiration. This is a special day for them, well, really for all of us, that we've been waiting for a long time, and we couldn't be more excited. And please join me in another round of applause for one of our dance groups, Estrellas Baile, who just performed under the direction of our dance director, Prouty Williams. I'd now like to invite Jones Student Council President, Dallas Prouty, to the stage to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
A beautiful building such as this that offers rich creative learning experiences that infuses the arts and language can only be made possible when a school board and district leadership supports it. I would like to invite AISD School Board President Jamie Sullins to share a few words with us.
Thank you and welcome. It's good to see you all today. I have some notes here for only one reason, because I could talk about Laura and Jimmy Jones all day long. Laura and Jimmy, we are honored to be here with you today in this fine facility. And I know it's not easy for you to deal with the shower of admiration and respect that's coming your way, and we have no intention of making it easy on you. None at all. So please sit back and relax, and we would have so much that we want to share with all of our community on this important day. But before we do, I want to let you in on probably what is Arlington ISD's worst kept secret. And you know what that is that the faculty and staff at the Jones Academy is the most joyous, energetic, awesome, and fun faculty anywhere. They are, when Jones Academy is in the house. So I would ask you, Laura and Jimmy, if you would please help me lead a loud and proud round of applause for the faculty and staff. I promise you, you will always know if they're in a meeting anywhere. It's awesome. So, but as we begin to celebrate this fabulous school, I was thinking of something, and there is, all of us have special ones that have loved us into being. Let's think about that. Each of us have someone that has loved us into being, and these are not my words, they're the words of the late, great Fred Rogers that most of us know as Mr. Rogers, and some words that he used in one of his lifetime achievement speeches. And I thought it was just perfect for today, because all of us here today share something in common, that we all have Laura or Jimmy that have loved us into being something. Laura and Jimmy have loved us into being great friends, and they have loved us into being better people. Now, they may have some trouble with some of you. It might have been harder. I don't know. I think it might have been for me, but they didn't give up. They don't give up. They loved us into being great teachers. They loved us into taking on new challenges and to taking new risks and raise the bar and to keep growing. And I think this is one of the Jones family's greatest legacy. So I bet we all remember the day that we met Jimmy Jones. I remember when I met Jimmy Jones. I was a brand new PTA president at Lamar High School, a well-run machine, and generations of legacy and history and tradition. And I didn't want to be the person to mess it up, right? So I had whatever it was that we needed to talk about, and I worked and I prepared and I over-prepared, and I got there early and I sat in chairs and I was ready to talk to Mr. Jones. And so I get in, I prepare to answer questions in discussion, and I share whatever it is that PTA wanted shared at the time, and he said, "Yep, that'll work." I was like, "Do you have any questions?" Nope, I do. He goes, "Yeah, I do." He goes, "If there's anything else that you ever need from me, don't hesitate and come back." And I thought, well, I learned a lot that day. I learned a lot about Jimmy Jones, and I learned a lot about the Lamar Way, and I learned a lot about how he treats people. Our very own Eddie Peach told me that, Eddie Peach, one of the greatest of all team builders, his compliment for Jimmy Jones is being the greatest team builder. And I think that is a compliment that is well earned. But what we know about Jimmy is he is Mr. Has Your Back, Mr. Always in Your Corner, Mr. Can Do, Mr. Will Do, Mr. Has Done, Mr. Will Do It Again, Mr. Always There, Mr. Jones. I'll never know how you were there for all of your students, for all of your faculty, for your head coach. You were at games, you were at choir concerts, you were at everything. I think you had a secret tunnel through Lamar. Or perhaps it was your track star pass that got you from place to place. But you made everyone's role, everyone's impact, everyone's dignity, everyone's career your top concern. Jimmy, your signature care for those around you is something exceptional, and it's the foundation of something they call the Lamar Way at Lamar High School. What a role model. We love you, Jimmy Jones, even if we did try to starve you to death with delicate lady-sized portions at the PTA luncheon. Sorry about that. And I bet we also remember the day we met Laura Jones, too. And I tell you what, rest assured, she remembers meeting you, each one and every detail. I can assure you of that. I got to tell you, if you ever need to know if you have an idea you want to bounce off someone, and you want to know if that idea is on track, what I could tell you to do is call Laura. Laura will listen attentively. She will connect with you thoughtfully. She will offer some advice. Sometimes it may not be the advice you want to hear, but it will be sound advice. And Laura Jones has done that time and time and time again. Now, I worked with Jimmy for a number of years before I was fortunate enough to get to know Laura Jones. Now, I'd seen a tiny little glimpse of her way over on the other sideline when I was on the Viking sideline and she was on the Warrior sideline back in those days. But what I did know is that she was an absolutely outstanding principal that led Warrior Nation with great professionalism and pride. She led Martin with an eye for excellence, and every single day. In fact, she made sure every detail was in order because that was the reflection of her school. She even went to the great length of examining her website to make sure that every word, every piece of content was something that was representative of Warrior Nation. So when she found that information was incorrect or inaccurate or had grammatical errors or did not represent Martin as a beacon of high performance and care, well, she took action because that's what she's always going for, excellence. Of course, that meant that the Football Booster Club president at that time would need to finesse his web content, clean up his grammar, and she offered red line edits for his post. Did you get that handle, Mr. Hibbs? John tells this story with great pride of your focus on excellence and the Martin High School excellence. He went on to share about a story when he was driving down the 405 in California on a business trip, and he still had a few more days, and he got a call from Laura Jones and said, well, I need you in town to introduce a new football coach. So John did what any proud warrior would do. He immediately changed his plans, booked a flight, got home, and did what Laura needed done because everyone wants to support Laura Jones's ideas. So good job, John. I always admire her attention to detail, vision, and to just having fun. The fun's okay too. So what I know about Laura is something that I bet you see too, that she always seems just a little bit ahead of the curve. Wayne Gretzky once said that he skates to where the puck is going to be, not to where it's already been. And isn't that what we see in Laura? An energizer bunny of an innovator that should be regularly featured on TED Talks with impeccable professionalism and the best posture in the Western world. Laura pushes herself. She challenges herself as a perfectionist of honoring others. We are inspired by her active curiosity, energy, and care. Laura always brings her A game and then some. Now, both Jimmy and Laura have retired, I suppose, in some sense of the word. You still find them in Rotary meetings, heading up at the AISD Education Foundation, joining in any and all ways to help this community. That happens to be if they are in town. Their travels are epic. I do hope they will teach us all how to retire someday, because I want to retire just like Laura and Jimmy Jones. What better namesakes could there be for a new school to teach and learn like never before? A new school of new opportunity for our youngest learners to explore fine arts and world languages. A school exciting in the sense of being in that place where the hockey puck is going, and a school with great legacy. These two rock stars have impacted thousands of students and educators. We know their great name that graces this building will inspire the next generations. Therefore, together with my esteemed colleagues on the Arlington ISD Board of Trustees, we joyfully and respectably dedicate this fine school, the Jimmy and Laura Jones Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This is a special day for all of us as we dedicate the Jones Academy. I want to take a moment first to again, as Jamie has done, thank the staff and the teachers and everyone who works here, and most especially all the students that come to school here at Jones Academy. Let's give the students a round of applause. So on this day, it's a privilege, really, to be able to dedicate a school and a namesake, a transformation. And the word transformation is used over and over and can have different kinds of meanings. Today, and if you ever come back to the school, you'll see the word transformation in action. You'll see the word transformation in the lives of young people, because they're learning about all the arts, they're learning different languages, handling their curriculum, learning in an environment that's not only outstanding in terms of academics, but a facility that is welcoming, that has the appropriate space. And we've said often that the facility is very important, but what happens inside the school is the most important. And at Jones Academy, the learning that is taking place and the access that this school has for all students across our district, because the students that come here represent students from across our district, is a model of excellence, innovation, and access. And so on behalf of the school district, this is an opportunity for us to continue that legacy of transformation in Arlington, to serve the needs of all our students in an exceptional way. And so I hope you take the time to tour and enjoy today the facility and the young people who are here performing. Now to Jimmy and Laura Jones. Jamie covered, and we didn't even discuss our different points that we're going to cover, but you covered a lot of information, Jamie, that really is true about who these fine individuals are. So I'll start with Jimmy. And there's so many stories. But he'll get the microphone too, so I'm not going to tell them all right? But I will tell you that, as Jamie said, and again, we didn't talk about this, but when I first met Jimmy, and we've known each other for a number of years, I was first in the district, and he was serving on a committee. And Jimmy loves committees, okay? So this wonderful committee was assembled before I got here. And so a list of principals, and I just somebody tell me a little bit about the principals, fine, okay. This was obviously before I was superintendent, I was associate superintendent. And they said, now Jimmy is very passionate, and he's very focused, and you'll see his passion. And I said, okay, well, that'd be good. We need people that are passionate, right? And what the real message was there is that Jimmy was going to always be an advocate for students, always. Above committees, about everything else, he was going to advocate for young people. And what I have grown at the time and now to appreciate so much is his advocacy for all students. And Jimmy has a heart as big as Texas. And he had a heart as big as Texas for Lamar. And he loved the students that he served. And Jimmy would do anything for students. And most of the time, he wouldn't even talk about it. You wouldn't even know about it. But Jimmy was advocating for students and their success. And Jimmy, you're a model for that, for many of us that are continuing in the profession of public education in a way that cuts through a lot of what we talk about, bureaucracy and all these other things, and just focuses on the young people and says, you know what, clear the path for their success. And Jimmy, you did that for a number of years, and I respect that, and I thank you for, on behalf of our students and all their success. Give him a round of applause. And then there's Laura Jones, in a good way. So when I first met Laura, back to our first meetings, Laura had this a way of coming to you and say, I have an idea, but I need your help. And what that normally meant was, I've already started the idea and I've run into something that you need to help me with. So I would ask her, I said, Laura, is this a new idea or have you already started implementing it? Well, it's We started it, but here's what I need, right? But Laura, as Jamie has already said, Laura has a standard of excellence that is so fitting for this school. As Jimmy has the standard for access of all students and their success, Laura has a standard of excellence that's fitting for this school, because all our programming, we were determined to make sure that they were of a high standard, not just a name on a building, but a high standard of instruction. And Laura demonstrated that every year, over and over again. And so she would come to you with an idea, but you knew that the idea and the things that Laura Jones was doing was going to be done right and to an exceptional standard of excellence, regardless who she needed to convince. Right, Laura? And she did. And Laura has that same heart of serving students. And you want to see two individuals passionate about something, it's when they're advocating for young people. And Laura has done that for years and years and years, and has helped many, many students, because she never compromises her standards of excellence. And Laura, we appreciate that, because again, you too have been a model and continue to teach us, the ones that are still in the profession, that there's a way to do things, and then there's an excellent way to do things. And so these two individuals, highly successful, highly respected, and are still teaching other people how to advocate for students and how to do it with excellence. So on behalf of our school district and our 60,000 students, thank you for being the models that you are.
As many of you know, and has already been mentioned, this building, this structure, did not look like this just a short time ago. We truly experienced a transformation, an extreme makeover, if you will, thanks to architect Stantec and our construction managers with George Construction. I would like to invite Diego Barrera from Stantec to share insight about their work and the building's design. Diego.
Well, thank you. This is exciting. It's always exciting to come to these openings and see happy faces, because the alternative is bad. So we're very happy to see everybody experiencing this building, and it's very exciting for me personally to see the culmination of a lot of work that it was collaborating with the district, collaborating with the teachers and students. And I guess this started for us about two years and change ago. And the first time that I was part of this project as I came in was to come to the visioning sessions, to meet with teachers and with administrators, with Dr. Cavazos, and talk about what was the vision for this building. And I don't know if you guys have ever been to one of those visioning sessions, but there's a lot of group activities. So you go from little groups and you mix a lot, and the idea is to cross-pollinate ideas, right? So one of the things, I left those visioning sessions with two big ideas, or two things that stuck in my mind. The first was this building and this academy was going to be one of a kind. As we researched and looked across the state for sure and across the country, we couldn't see a public school that had such an innovative program, a program that wanted to combine fine arts and wanted to combine language arts in one facility. So we were excited to be part of this process. And the other thing that we left with is an understanding of the passion that your teachers and your administrators brought to this facility. And that was both very exciting, very inspiring, but also it was a big responsibility, because we wanted to make sure that as we worked in this project and as we delivered this design and collaborated with the district to do so, we made justice to that vision. So as I look around in the building, I'm excited, and I'm excited to see that you guys are happy, and I'm excited to see the students enjoying this facility. So hopefully as we walk around, you all feel that this building represents the vision that Jim and Laura Jones Academy stands for, and will do so for the future. So thanks for letting us be part of it, and we look forward to the success of this academy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diego. And now we are so excited to have Mayor Jeff Williams to share a few remarks. Thank you, Mayor, for being here.
Thank you. It is an exciting day in Arlington. I know you're expecting me to say that, and it is. And let me share something with you. When I walked into the doors of this school, Karen and I immediately started smiling because we had not been in here since it was Rockmore when our daughter taught here for several years. And then it was so uplifting to see all of these teachers lined up and the excitement there in their face because they know they have the tools now to really make a difference in kids' lives. You know, as a mayor here, it is so important that we support our educational institutions. And our city council and I are so proud of the Arlington ISD and for what they're doing, and this is one of those examples. And as Dr. Cavazos said, this was not just a remodel. This was not just a refurbishment. This is a transformation, and it is a game changer here for our kids and their future. You know, several years ago, I had the opportunity to be working with a guy by the name of Bob Kimball, the Nehemiah Group, and he's out of town today. He is here. Oh, he is here. And he had a vision here to actually transform this area. And he said, you know, I wonder what we can do about that block. And I said, you know, our school district is very innovative. Let's go talk to them because, you know, Rockmore is right there in that block, and to see if they would be interested in remodeling that school. And then, of course, the city was also a part of that, very important part. But the important thing is that we went in and met with school board, superintendent, Cindy Powell, the CFO, and it was an amazing thing because the idea got so much bigger than we ever thought. The creativity of the staff of AISD, the creativity of the school board, the boldness of the school board to come up with a bigger idea that now is transforming this school into one of the finest fine arts dual language academy anywhere. And of course, the other part of it is there aren't hardly any, are there? I mean, this is an idea that came forward that just doesn't hardly exist. But then in addition to that, it was our privilege as a city to come in and help refurbish the park and also to help the vision of a man who cared about our community to transform the housing that we have here. And then we see even the people around it. And then I've also got to say the citizens in these neighborhoods around here have been working so hard here at this school so much. I drove in and I saw volunteers out of the neighborhoods picking up trash along the roadways. That's the kind of commitment that we've seen here in this neighborhood. And of course, that's the other part of it. This neighborhood is now taking a huge step up because of what AISD did here and the vision of a private developer, but also a citizen here, and Bob Kimball and his company, they're coming forward, and then the third leg being the city. That's what it's all about, that partnership that we have. And then I've got to turn, of course, to Laura and Jimmy Jones. Y'all, all three of my kids came through Martin High School with Laura Jones as their principal. They benefited greatly. But then in addition to that, I've got a whole lot of friends in North Arlington. And Jimmy and Laura Jones were a topic of conversation between the Martin parents and the Lamar parents all the time. You know, which one is the best? You know, there's always that competition between Lamar and Martin. And then isn't it amazing how God puts two people together that can be so different but yet have like goals, and they complement each other so well? Because when you meet both of them, you see that they are the perfect couple and the perfect ones to be leading Lamar and Martin through those great years, and what a great job they did. But also there were many a time and many dinners with friends when they were talking about what a great job Jimmy Jones was doing over here at Lamar and what a great job Laura Jones was doing at Martin. Just a constant effort there. And then Laura Jones is the kind of lady you want to have in the room with you when you're trying to solve problems or you're wanting to try to take care of kids, she's there for you, and she knows it. She always gives great advice. And then in addition to that, when she gives that advice, there is a passion and a concern and care for our students. And she did that with all three of ours, and she did that with thousands of others that came through. And then Jimmy Jones. Jimmy Jones may be a man of few words when it needs to be just a few words, but this is a man who can speak up and make a huge difference, because we were at a key moment in AISD's history when we were working on the school bond campaign, when Jimmy Jones stepped up in front of a group of people and gave one of the best speeches I've ever heard about the importance of this bond election. And he got into the fact of these dual language fine arts academy, the difference they would make, the career and training facility, and the experience he had had there. And here was two people that were supposed to be retired that were driving 2 hours to come into town to make sure this school bond program passed. Well, it's been said, these two haven't retired, and they love our city, they love this school district, and most importantly of all, they love kids. Some of the greatest citizens we've ever had, Jimmy and Laura Jones, still making a difference, and so deserving that they would have their name on this facility. So I'm going to read an official proclamation here that says, whereas Jimmy and Laura Jones have spent their entire careers with the Arlington Independent School District for a combined total of 64 years. They started when they were 12. Whereas Jimmy Jones began his career in 1970 at Hutchinson Junior High, teaching industrial arts and coaching athletics, eventually becoming head football coach. From Hutchinson, he went on to teach at Sam Houston High School and eventually was appointed assistant principal at Lamar High School in 1982, where he continued for 24 years before being named principal in 1996 and retiring in 2006. And whereas Laura Jones taught biology at Bowie High School from 1979 to 1983 and returned to AISD in 1984 after earning her master's degree from Texas Tech. Go Tech. She was named assistant principal at Gunn Junior High in 1985 and later at Martin High School, where she served for 12 years before being named principal in 2011 and retiring in 2001 when she was named principal, and then retiring in 2008. And whereas the impact of Jimmy and Laura Jones' legacy together is one that began as a chance meeting as teachers at Bowie High School and continuing with their love for each other and AISD, and it has been an incredible experience for many generations to come. Now, therefore, I, Jeff Williams, Mayor of Arlington, Texas, and on behalf of the Arlington City Council, do hereby proclaim May the 27th, 2017, as Jimmy and Laura Jones Day.
I need to first thank George Construction, Stony Stone, and Barrett Steelings from George Construction for taking such good care of us. I know we heard from the architect, but George has been amazing customer service providers and took care of this building in a very efficient way, and I just want to thank them for all their hard work. We are so blessed to have Texas Trust Credit Union to provide us with an outdoor performance area. It is just like the school, it's one of its kind here in the district. It's absolutely gorgeous and allows us to showcase our students' talents and provide a unique space of learning too. I would like to thank Texas Trust Credit Union for supporting the arts and funding such a beautiful area. And I'd like to welcome Jim Minge from Texas Trust, President and CEO, to share about our partnership.
Thank you so much. And you're probably wondering, what's a banker doing up here at this wonderful facility? And I can only claim one excuse, and that is that passion and vision are contagious. And when you hang out with Dr. Cavazos for a little bit, his passion and vision spills over into you, and the next thing you know, you're writing a big check. So, but really, you know, our vision at Texas Trust is to build brighter financial futures. That's what we're all about. And we know that there is no way you can have a bright financial future without a great education. And so we support the local schools and our local community. And one of the ways we do that is you get your debit card that you use every day, and every time you use that card to buy something, a dime goes back to the school district. That's helping with this, and we hope that you can help us exceed that and even give more back to the community. So come see us at one of our 7 locations, and we would love to help you. And I just want to say thank you to Dr. Cavazos and to the leadership team here. They are such a pleasure to work with. They have such fantastic vision and such passion for this community and for the kids in the community, and they are helping to build brighter financial futures every day. And we're happy to just play a tiny little part in that outdoor performance area. You know, money is easy, everything else is hard. So we want to thank you for the opportunity to play that tiny little part, and thank you to each of you for giving us a little time today.
I like to teach the world to sing in
That last song was about friendship. So let me introduce James Adams, a very special friend of the Joneses. Mr. Adams worked in the AISD for 38 years and served as a teacher, counselor, and administrator at 4 schools here in Arlington before being named principal at Arlington High School, where he remained for 15 years before retiring in 2008. So he was a principal at Arlington High when Jimmy was a principal at Lamar and Lori was a principal at Martin. Truly a friendly rivalry, I assume. Please welcome Mr. Adams.
It is indeed an honor for me to be here. Laura called and asked me if I would speak, and I said, sure, because I learned a long time ago you don't say no to Laura. Pointless. But when I look out at this audience, I feel kind of like the guy who spent his entire life studying floods. His undergraduate degree was in floods, his master's degree, his doctorate. He knew everything in the world there was to know about floods. He looked forward to sharing that with people, and then he died. He went to heaven. And St. Peter welcomed him, and he said, what a great life. He goes, yeah, but I had a disappointment. I learned all this about floods, and I wanted to talk about them. He said, well, you're in luck. We have a lecture scheduled tomorrow. You can talk about floods. The guy said, at last, I get to do my thing. And St. Peter said, oh, by the way, Noah will be in the audience. So I kind of feel like talking to you is talking to Noah about the flood. Everybody starts with Jimmy, so I'm going to start with Jimmy. Jimmy was born in Fort Worth. He was the second of 7 children born to Margie and Carl Jones. Laura says Margie was a saint. Jimmy grew up attending family reunions and church events, and I think that molded his love and compassion for other people. He has always treated people, whether they were his colleagues, his teachers, students, friends, anybody he met, he treated them with dignity and respect. I think it's also one of the things that made him so tender-hearted. Raise your hand if you've seen this man talking to high school seniors with tears in his eyes. Oh, yeah. Beginning as a teenager, Jimmy was a worker. He worked in a brick factory stacking bricks. In summers, working on houses. He worked at a moving van company. He never shies away from hard work. I once saw him mopping a floor at Lamar, and he was the principal. Even since he retired, it's been said he still works. He drives an airport shuttle for Marriott, and he also works as Laura's travel agent. When it comes to traveling, folks, nobody keeps up with the Joneses. Jimmy played football and ran track at Brewer High School, and he earned him a track scholarship to North Texas State, where he got his bachelor's degree, and then later went back and got his master's degree. Since he has retired, he continues to be involved with track. He serves as officials for high school and college meets. And I met Jimmy when he moved to Sam Houston in '76. I was a counselor there, and we worked together for 4 years before he went on to Bowie as a teacher and assistant principal. It was at Bowie that he met a young science teacher named Laura Zorns, who had a tremendous impact on his life. Moving to Lamar after Bowie, he lived there. He stayed there. He actually did live at Lamar for 24 years, 12 and a half as an assistant principal and 11 and a half as a principal. And those of you who have been involved in high school administration know what an amazing feat that is. It's a tough job. Jimmy was and is passionate about Lamar, even to the point of almost being thrown out of his own gym. It seems that a referee made what Jimmy considered to be an egregious call against Lamar during a very tense basketball game, and Jimmy, very politely from across the gym, explained the error of his ways. Well, the referee looked at Jimmy and pointed at Jimmy and said, "You may be thrown out of this gym." Jimmy, ever more calmly, looked at the referee and said, "I have the keys to the gym, and if anybody gets thrown out, it's going to be you." Luckily, nobody had to leave the game, and it continued. To this day, Jimmy is loyal to Lamar, and he bleeds blue and gold. And if anybody ever tried to tell Jimmy what they think he should do, and it was not in the best interest of kids, Jimmy would probably say that he doesn't give a good, well, if you know Jimmy, you know what he'd say. And if you don't, you can probably figure it out. And yet, in spite of this tough guy persona, if you're hurting, if you need a hug, Jimmy Jones will be the first person in line to give you that hug and comfort you. He is an amazing man. I love Jimmy Jones. Laura. You asked for this, Laura. Laura was born in Lubbock, Texas, the first of two children to Hank and Hazel Zorns. Now, I got to meet Hank and Hazel. I heard about them for several years before I got to meet them, but I got to meet them in the mid-'80s. And knowing them, I understand more about Laura. They became my heroes immediately. During my career, both Hank's professional and his personal approach to being a high school administrator guided me in many situations. The Zorns family was very active at First Baptist Church in Lubbock, and they spent their summers camping in the Rocky Mountains in New Mexico and Colorado. Laura even served as an adult advisor to an explorer post in Lubbock, and she said she enjoyed the hiking and the camping and the canoeing. In fact, she says, Clay, that she still has her branded boots. You know anything about that? Where is it? Like Jimmy, Laura started working as a teenager with her dad being an assistant principal in Lubbock. She worked for the Lubbock ISD in the summers. She did everything from typing work orders to dispatching maintenance vehicles to counting fire extinguishers. She says that she went through boiler rooms and field houses and ag chicken coops and pig pens during her work in LISD. Little did she know that was just preparation to become a high school principal. She also had a stint as a server in a restaurant, and evidently that didn't go well. But she did learn appreciation for what the servers do, and she's a very good tipper even today. Laura went to Baylor University as a freshman, then came to her senses, moved home, went back to Texas Tech. Her becoming an educator was a natural move since both of her parents and all four grandparents were educators. In fact, her two grandfathers were high school principals. She went to Bowie and was there 4 years, and then Bowie closed. I don't know whether there's any connection. I don't know. But Laura moved back to Lubbock, and she got her degree from Texas Tech. She tells me that during that grad school year, she had to make $9,000 last 13 months. And she said that she was able, having done that, she could permanently check off, can live frugally. I don't think Jimmy believes that. In 1984, Laura came back to Arlington and taught at Martin for a year. And then the next year, 1985, was a big year for Laura and Jimmy. First, she was given a position as assistant principal at Gunn Junior High. And then on November 2nd, they got married with her uncle officiating. That date was chosen because it was the only weekend that Jimmy, vice principal at Lamar, and Hank, vice principal at Lubbock Monterey, would agree to miss their school's football game. 1989 was another big year for Laura, and it was a big year for me because that was the year that she came to Martin High School. Laura and I worked together there as assistant principals for 5 years. When my younger daughter, Melissa, came to Martin, I told Laura, she's yours. And as a result of that, Melissa spent the first week of June following her sophomore year in detention hall. Laura was a very good assistant principal. And by the way, Jimmy later hired Melissa to teach and coach cheerleaders at Lamar. And matter of fact, my other daughter, Jennifer, has been impacted by these two people. Laura worked with her in the Martin cluster. Jennifer taught at Mary Moore. And Jimmy hired her husband later to coach and teach at Lamar, and he's still there. Thank you for helping us take care of our kids. I think of Laura as the most interesting woman in the world. She doesn't always know everything about you, but once she finds out, she never forgets. I think one thing that sets Laura apart is she genuinely is interested in everything going on around her. When she says, "How are you?" she wants to know how you are, and she listens to your answer. A couple of years ago, Laura and Jimmy and Barbara and I were walking down Broadway in New York City, and Barbara's phone buzzed, and it said, "Tori Bell is nearby." Well, Tori Bell is a kid that was in Barbara's 6th grade class over 30 years ago. So she just answered and said, "We're going for lunch, join us." And he did. After introductions over pizza, Barbara said, "How are you?" And Tori proceeded to catch up the previous 30 years, including his job as a producer on the Wendy Williams show. Laura listened and joined in the conversation, and she had never met Tori Bell before in her life. They are now close friends on Facebook, and they had lunch with him again when they went back to New York. Laura has a genuine interest in people, and she never forgets anything. As high school assistant principals, Jimmy and Laura and I spent many hours of our school days attending conferences, principals meetings, curriculum meetings, budget meetings, banquets. We spent a lot of time together. We also spent time testifying in courts and UIL hearings. We attended ball games and concerts and plays, and took a lot of trips together. Barbara and I have great memories of road trips in my Suburban with Barbara and me, Jimmy and Laura, Fran Clinton, and Martha Partlow. And those trips were to see the Warriors or the Vikings or the Colts perform or compete. And I know that many of AISD's problems were solved while they talked and I drove to places such as Midland, Abilene, Cleburne, Burleson, all over the state. It did make the job a lot easier and a lot more fun. When you spend that much time together, you feel like you're family. And during my career in education, I relied very heavily on Jimmy and Laura Jones for their expertise and their support. They are outstanding educators and good traveling companions. When they retired and built a house near Gordon, I thought, and I'm going to guess some of you thought, they've lost their minds. What in the world would they do out there? Laura is a city girl. It's 45 minutes to the closest Walmart. There are no restaurants, there are no ballparks, there's no theaters. They won't survive. Well, all that worrying was for nothing. They're doing okay. They've become active members of the Gordon community, joining the Gordon First United Methodist Church. They also help with the community food pantry and the volunteer fire department auxiliary. Jimmy sings in the church choir, and Laura serves as an elected director on the board of Lake Palo Pinto Water Supply Corporation. In fact, they made so many friends out there that this year Laura had to have 2 birthday parties because there was no place big enough for all her friends to come. All of this has not prevented the Joneses from remaining contributing supporters of Arlington. They actively campaigned for the 2009 and 2014 school bond referendums, and Laura has served on numerous committees, twice the president of the Arlington ISD Education Foundation. Jimmy has continued his 25-year association with the Arlington North Rotary, and he's 2-time past president. Jimmy and Laura Jones have been a blessing, not only to Arlington ISD, but to the city of Arlington. For a combined 64 years as educators, they've demonstrated a leadership of service, a leadership of caring, and a leadership of commitment. They put their money, and more importantly, their time where their mouth is. They walk the walk. Jimmy and Laura Jones Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language. I like the way that sounds. These two are truly deserving of this honor, and they will be amazing role models for the kids and the teachers and the faculty. I can think of no one more deserving of being honored than my friends, Laura. and Jimmy Jones.
Good morning. My name is Joyce Jones, and I am lucky enough to be Jimmy and Laura's niece. If you have known Jimmy and Laura for any length of time, then you have probably noticed that their passion for family and education shows in everything that they do. I have been on the receiving end of countless words of support and encouragement from them. From working on my undergrad degree to landing my first teaching job, Jimmy and Laura has always reaffirmed that education is the right place for me. Even now, I find myself going to them when I need guidance in my career because they always have just the right advice to give. The dedication that these two show to education is extraordinary. Their years of service, volunteer hours, and the number of students they have reached over the years is proof that these two have devoted their lives to making a difference. They are both great examples of terrific leaders. With that being said, I can't think of anyone who deserves this honor more than these two. Uncle Jimmy and Aunt Laura, we love you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gloria McKinney, and I'm also one of their nieces. I was asked also to speak on their behalf, and I am honored to do so. When I think about them, I think about their continued lifelong impact on education and how they continue, even in retirement, to dedicate their time to Arlington ISD. Together, they have faithfully served the students and the families of Arlington ISD for a combined total of 64 years. I cannot imagine. I found a quote written by an unknown author that I think describes Aunt Laura and Uncle Jimmy. Great leaders don't set out to be a leader. They set out to make a difference. It's not about the role, always about the goal. I'm pretty sure that when Uncle Jimmy and Aunt Laura began their careers in education, they never knew or could imagine the educational leaders that they would become and the roles that they would eventually step into. When they first started teaching in the classroom, it wasn't their goal. Their goal was to make a difference in their students' lives. Well, they succeeded and they went above and beyond, and they continue even in retirement to dedicate their time and make a difference with the students of Arlington ISD. Uncle Jimmy and Aunt Laura have been so supportive and an inspiration to me. I have followed in their footsteps, and I have just finished my 9th year of teaching. They are always very positive, offering advice, words of encouragement when need be, because we can probably all agree that sometimes it's very challenging to be in education. In conclusion, I cannot think of anybody else more deserving of this honor. Your family and friends are honored to be here with you to celebrate.
Good morning. My name is Clay Zorns, and Laura Jones is my sister. Jimmy's my brother-in-law. I would also like to introduce my wife, Laura Zorns. Yes, we have 2 Lauras in the family. So when we're together, we refer to them as Laura Lou and Laura Ann. So welcome to my world. My sister, Laura Lou, has always had a passion and desire for the education profession. I believe this was inherited from our parents and grandparents. Both of our parents were educators. Our dad spent his entire career in the Lubbock Public Schools as a teacher, counselor, assistant principal, and vice principal. Our mom was a teacher in the Lubbock Public Schools as well, and retired to be a stay-at-home mom after having me. All 4 of our grandparents were either teachers or administrators in various towns throughout West Texas. So this was the foundation for Laura's successful career as an education professional. Laura and Jimmy's careers as both teachers and administrators has influenced the lives of many of their former students. Some of these former students have even gone on to pursue careers in the education profession themselves, and I'm sure they could tell you who they are. Our parents were so proud when Laura decided to go into the education profession. I'm sure they are looking down from heaven right now and smiling, knowing that Jimmy and Laura's legacy will continue on as children are educated at Jones Academy for generations to come. So at this time, on behalf of the family, it is our privilege to present the Jimmy and Laura's portrait to the Jones Academy.
As all of us have mentioned, Jimmy and Laura are so deserving of this honor. I admire their service to education, service to leadership, and service for kids. It's been an absolute privilege to get to know them, and they are our school's greatest cheerleaders and biggest supporters. We are proud to dedicate our very first yearbook to Jimmy and Laura Jones. In it, we say that we're proud to be a part of the Jones legacy. We appreciate both of you so much. You know, and my teachers know this, and my parents know this. I always pray that they feel proud of their schools and us, because their names are in lights and in front of this building. So please welcome our wonderful namesakes, Jimmy and Laura Jones.
Well, you've already heard that I don't like to talk a whole lot. And in all honesty, I was going to pull an Elvis and just stand up here and say thank you very much. But somebody that we all know and love said no, I was going to do a little more than that. So I do have a few notes I'm going to speak from. You know, started my career in the early 70s, and a song at that time kind of kept coming back into my mind. It was a song by Neil Simon called Kodachrome. And I'm going to read you the first verse. It's kind of been paraphrased a little bit because we do have some kids here. It says, when I think back on all the things that I learned in high school, it's a wonder that I can think at all. And though my lack of education hasn't hurt me now, I can see the writing on the wall. Well, I didn't see this. But I do want to say unequivocally that I thank God every day for the blessings that he does give me. And I know that nobody gets to stand up here like this without having been blessed, and also being blessed by a lot of other people. I'm very fortunate to have a lot of my family here from all over the state. I won't ask them to stand up. I do have old friends here. And I got a lot of new ones here too. All you Gordon people, raise your hands. Have a lot of colleagues here, a lot of past teachers, a lot of bosses. Our Rotary Club is, I feel, pretty well represented here. A lot of exposure and a lot of trustees over the years. And Jamie, I'm glad I didn't run you off as PTA president, and you saw fit to stay around and serve and do bigger and better things. And Dr. Cavazos, I'm glad that you lived through me, James, and Laura. We could be a handful. James, God the best. I do want to mention 2 or 3 people. I know most of them aren't here, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm not going to mention everybody. I could never mention anybody. We don't have that much time. But the first principal I had when I started at Hutchinson was Don Carson. Couldn't have had a better boss. He taught me rules are there for a reason, and you can bend them as much as you want. Don't break them. When I went to Lamar, Weldon English, boss there, his biggest contribution to me was, you know, you need to just wait a day. I had a tendency of whatever the issue was, take care of it, get it done, and he finally taught me that things will look a little different tomorrow. You don't have to do that right now. Sleep on it. And I learned to appreciate that. I don't think James Hyden is here today, but he was the head coach at Sam Houston when I was hired, and he had me put at Hutch, and I appreciate him for that. I had some assistant principals, Royce Hillman when I was at Hutch, Tommy Williams at Sam. When I got to Lamar, I could not have had two better mentors than Ann Stockton. Where are you, Margaret? Or D. Didricks. D. There's D. They, between the three of us, we spent many an afternoon in Ann's office eating peanuts and jelly beans. And as you say, kind of taking stock of the day and figuring out where we needed to be. And their guidance has meant a lot to me. We've already touched on Eddie Peach a little bit. Eddie taught me as an assistant principal that we really needed to be there for everybody. And that was really important to him. Faculties, gosh, man, I still have friends off the old Hutchinson faculty when I went to Sam Houston and back to the original Bowie. But the Lamar, I don't care what Laura tells you, Lamar High School is the best faculty you'll ever see. A lot of other people involved when you had a career as long as I have. She's no longer with us, but Miss Bernie, Don Allen, a lot of the paraprofessionals at school, but also all the mid-management people that I dealt with out of central office, all of the maintenance people, security. Basically, whether you like it or not, it does take a lot to operate a village. Thank you. God bless.
Wow. It's a great day to be a Jones All-Star, isn't it? Before I get to my prepared remarks, I thought Jamie might share that we had that great idea during her first campaign for trustee. You know, we wanted to fun it up a little bit, so we decided to make big poster boards, and right as Martin High School was letting out at 2:45, Mind you, I had just retired as principal. We're standing across Pleasant Ridge with placards like we're protesting, but we're really campaigning for her to be trustee. I thought you might share that. You know, it was fun. And then I thought Marcelo might share that not him, but another one of our colleagues had discouraged me and Jimmy from sitting together in principals' meetings because maybe there might be a Jones block, but actually I think Marcelo knew very well that we're pretty different in our thinking and how we respond, and if anything, Jimmy needed a warranty person to kind of keep him in line, and that was Beverly McReynolds, the principal at Sam Houston. She was assigned that duty. I thought Mayor Williams, Jeff, might actually say, "Thank you, Laura, for saving him a few dollars on his first child," because I reminded her that she really did need to go to Texas Tech and not Baylor, and I won. She went to Tech.
I wanted to.
You wanted to. And James, I thought you might share the time we were at the Martin baseball field at midnight. Barbara, we were inside sleeping bags. Why were we there? I mean, seriously, it was crazy. We're there at midnight, the four of us, the only four, and we're watching baseball and reading your beautiful essays from sixth graders. My favorite is still the little Moore kid. His was wonderful. And of course, then the next day, James gets a call of why are the baseball lights on at midnight, and we could say, well, we were there. But anyway, these are wonderful people on the stage. Our family who spoke, lots of family here. Jimmy has a family from East Texas, siblings that live here close to the Metroplex. Yes, Palo Pinto County, our friends are here. Our Arlington peeps that we travel with all the time, and then certainly many, many colleagues. So thank you very much. It is a great day to be a Jones All-Star. And your presence here today, especially on a Saturday morning, on a holiday weekend, definitely makes you honorary All-Stars. So enjoy being called an All-Star. Jimmy and I were so surprised 2 years ago with the announcement that we would be school namesakes. We were overwhelmed, and frankly, we still are. Over the past 2 years, our gratitude has grown deeper as we've watched or even participated in the incremental steps which make this school truly extraordinary. Superintendent Cavazos and Principal Herrador provided a wonderful overview of kind of Jones Academy and what it is. But I want to take a moment to paint a more detailed picture. Two of the earliest decisions were school colors and mascot. To some, these may seem somewhat insignificant, but to those of us who've been in the business, they are important details because they must be timeless. Principal Herrador masterfully led our committee of students, teachers, and parents in a reflective process in order to honor this school's uniqueness. The colors of blue and green are carryovers from Rockmore Elementary School, a fitting tribute to the school that occupied this building for 50 years. But gold was added as a highlight color to remind us all-stars to always shine bright. And even though Jones Jaguars was a big hit with the boys, the committee ultimately decided that stars, better yet, all stars, was descriptive of a school focused on fine arts and languages. And I absolutely love the logo that was created. It's 4 elements: musical notes, a thought bubble, the comedy and tragedy theater mask, and a paint palette capture perfectly the essence of Jones Academy. A week ago, Jimmy and I attended our second musical performed by the Jones All-Stars. Last year's Oz was delightful, but this year's Annie Jr. was incredible. The leads of Annie, Miss Hannigan, and Oliver Warbucks were performed masterfully by 5th and 6th graders, but the cast included actors from every grade level, including kindergartners. Even the tech crew was manned by students. A third grader helped run the light board. Now, I don't know what you were doing as a third grader, but at the very best, I was putting those stretchy bands on the metal square loom and weaving a pot holder. That may have been my creativity as a third grader. It was truly amazing and so rewarding to see the growth demonstrated by these students from last spring until now. And as you tour the building after the ceremony, enjoy the clever, expressive artwork displayed on the walls and in every nook and cranny. Jimmy's current favorite is the display of shadow figures in the library hallway. Check that one out. Each figure is a 3D creation of a full sculpture, and its painted black shadow on paper together is an amazing 3D combination. And then certainly don't forget the encore extravaganza in the outdoor performance area. Thank you, Texas Trust. Without a doubt, watching kinder kiddos perform Pete the Cat will make your day. And folks, all of this greatness is happening in a public school in a large urban district. I'm going to say that line again. All of this greatness is happening in a public school in a large urban district. The unique instructional program at Jones and its sister campus, Corey Academy, represents just one of the many dynamic offerings of the Arlington School District. Without a doubt, school choice is alive and well in the AISD. And just like the teachers all across the country, the Jones Academy teachers work tirelessly to ensure that their students are not only challenged by innovative lessons, but also mentored to be tomorrow's leaders. And Jones teachers, we gave you a round of applause once, but let's whoop it up some more. Thank you. And now on a personal note, I think most of the colleagues Jimmy and I were fortunate to work with throughout our careers would agree that we had grit. That special blend of passion and perseverance which cemented our resolve as decision makers. Now, Jimmy's grit may have been a bit more coarse, and mine perhaps a little more fine, but our commitment and loyalty to the schools we served was never questioned. Jimmy and I owe a debt of gratitude to the district for allowing us to achieve our career goals, especially to serve as high school principals at the same time. In closing, I'd like to share a lesson from my parents. You've heard their names, and they are with us today. Hank and Hazel Zorns. I know they would be excited and proud for me and Jimmy, absolutely no doubt. But they would also be the first to say, you are here today because you stood shoulder to shoulder with many outstanding educators. So to our wonderful colleagues, mentors, and friends, including Dr. Cavazos and the Board of Trustees, please know that in my mind's eye, and I think I can certainly speak for Jimmy, so in our mind's eyes, that full name that's on the canopy, your names, all of you who mean so much to us, your names are etched on the letters of the Jimmy and Laura Jones Academy of Fine Arts and Dual Language. Our hearts are truly full. We love you. Thank you.
It is a great day to be an all-star. It really is. We have another treat for you. Our piano teacher, Tabitha Gordon, composed an original, beautiful school song. And we are so excited to debut it for all of you. It is titled Illuminate. Our theater teacher, Elizabeth Gonzalez, composed the lyrics. You have the chorus in your program, but I hope you pay close attention to the message. Please welcome our 5th and 6th graders, Illuminate.
When you feel a spark within, it's sending you to search for answers. It doesn't have to be that loud to lead you to adventures. Sing out loud at the top of your lungs. Your feet fly to the beat of their own. The world is your canvas, you are the brush. It's time to take the stage and find. Shine bright for the world to see it. Shine bright at Jones Academy. Shine bright and everybody know it. You can grow and grow and grow. There's no you and me, it's us. It was meant to be. Cuando sientes la chispa por dentro, que te impulsa a buscar respuestas, no tiene que ser en alto para aventuras. Cantas alzado a toda voz, los fieles vuelan por su propio. El mundo es tu luna, el pincel es tú, es tiempo que des cuenta. Brilla para que todos vean, brilla en la academia, brilla para que todos sepan. Puedes crecer, crecer, crecer. No eres tú ni yo, nosotros vamos a brillar. You and me, it's us. Shine bright for the world to see it. Shine bright at Jones Academy. Shine bright, let everybody know it. You can grow and grow and grow. There's no you and me, it's us. It was meant to be. There is no you and me, it's us. It was meant to be.
Boys and girls, thank you for illuminating us and shining bright every day. We love you so much. I want to take this moment to thank my team of teachers and staff. Laura always calls them difference makers, but I also like to call them family. They have such love for the school and their students. Their hard work and dedication is evident everywhere, every day. And guests, I hope you've felt the spirit of Jones Academy this morning, and it's not over yet. So I'd like to invite you to head to our gym, and some of our all-stars will help you find the way there. We have cake and punch, and in 30 minutes, we are going to enjoy a fine arts extravaganza in our outdoor performance area. Our wonderful PTA will serve hot dogs, chips, and drinks. But please, on your way out, as is mentioned, we have beautiful student work everywhere. You're more than welcome to go in and out of classrooms. We also have in our extended collaborative areas, spotlighting the great things that happen every day here at Jones Academy. So again, on behalf of all the teachers and students and staff here, we welcome you. We thank you, Jim and Laura, for inspiring us and shining bright. Enjoy the rest of this special day. Thank you.